This is the raisin eating mindfulness exercise. I place a few raisins in my hand. If I don't have any raisins, any food will do. I imagine that I have come to Earth from a distant planet without this kind of food. And now, with this food in my hand, I begin to explore it with all of my senses. I focus on one of the objects as if I've never seen anything like it before. I focus on seeing this object. I scan it. I explore every part of it as if I've never seen such a thing before. I turn it around with my fingers and notice what color it is. I notice the folds and where the surface reflects light or becomes darker. Next, I explore the texture, feeling any softness, hardness, coarseness, or smoothness. And while I'm doing this, if thoughts arise such as, why am I doing this weird exercise? Or how will this ever help me? Or I hate these objects. Then I just see if I can acknowledge these thoughts and I let them be. And then I bring my awareness back to the object. Now I take the object beneath my nose and carefully notice the smell of it. I then bring the object to one ear, squeeze it, roll it around, and hear if there's any sound coming from it. I begin to slowly take the object in my mouth. I notice how the arm knows exactly where to go, and perhaps I become aware of some mouth watering. I gently place the object in my mouth. I place it on my tongue without biting it. I simply explore the sensations of this object in my mouth. And when I'm ready, I intentionally bite down on the object, maybe noticing how it automatically goes to one side of the mouth versus the other. Also, I notice the tastes it releases when I bite down into it. Slowly, I chew this object. I become aware of the saliva in my mouth and how the object changes in consistency as I chew. And when I feel ready, I swallow this object. I consciously notice the intention to swallow, and then I see if I can notice the sensations of swallowing this object. I sense it moving down my throat into my esophagus on its way down to my stomach. I take a moment to congratulate myself for taking this time to experience mindful eating. Before I move on to eating the next object, I ask myself what I noticed in terms of sight and touch and sound, smell and taste. I ask myself what, if anything, surprised me about this practice. Did any thoughts or memories pop up while doing this practice? Were there elements of this practice that I found challenging or easy? I asked myself what was my experience of eating with such focused attention on a single object. And I asked myself what was the relationship between my expectation of eating this object and the actual experience of eating this object. Many people find it a little odd at first to do this exercise, or they find it difficult to slow down and keep the focus on this exercise. That is absolutely normal, and with practice, we will find it easier to bring our attention back to our experience. We repeat the exercise now, and we see if we can notice the difference between eating with awareness in a mindful and present way and compare this to eating in a more mindless, habitual way. Next, we try to practice mindful eating during our meals at breakfast, at lunch, and then at dinner, and notice any differences in our sensations. We can practice being aware of the complex flavors, textures, and temperatures of your food, and also practice tuning in and noticing the bodily sensations like hunger, pleasure, and fullness associated with eating. As often as you can, we practice bringing our full attention to the act of eating. And with practice, we learn how to bring this quality of attention to many other different everyday routine activities to help us engage in being present.